What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the 5% Radio Podcast. Today is episode number 33. Cannot believe we are already on episode number 33, but today I want to talk to you about my story, the journey I've had so far up to this point, and the mistakes I've made along the way, how you can learn from them and avoid stepping in some of the same potholes, where I'm at now, and the unapologetic decisions that I've made after everything that I've gone through about where I'm going and really why I'm going in that direction. But and I want to take this from the top, but the reason that this has to do with anything but an average life is because growing up, literally my only goal, the title of this podcast is 5% Radio, because 95% of the people live an average, ordinary, common, just normal life. And that was never something that appealed to me growing up. And I feel like after, 32 episodes of the show, I really want to just kind of share my backstory, because you don't really know why someone is the way they are until you understand how they grew up. And this is something that you'll learn in, counseling, psychologists. Like some people go too far with this, like, oh, well, we're going to blame your childhood. But I'm just going to tell you, like, how I grew up and really what has wired me the way that I am. And Art Williams has a talk on YouTube. You can look it up. It's called Just Do It. Look up Just Do It and then Art, A-R-T, Williams. I've mentioned it before on the show, but he talks about, basically, I don't know why I am the way that I am, but my butt's always burning to do something, is what he says. And I've always kind of been wired just for action. Like I've just always wanted to accomplish things. You can call me a type A and whatever else, overachiever, but that's just kind of the way that I've been wired. So growing up, I literally wanted to do anything that I could to be above average. And that sounds, it sounds terrible in one sense, as in, like, I'm looking down on the average, but literally I heard a guy say a quote one time, and I've related with this so much and I never forgot it. It was Mark Bell. He's a power lifter now. He's a coach and all kinds of other stuff. You can find his stuff on YouTube. I don't really watch his content anymore, and I love the guy's information, but I don't really pay attention to him anymore. So if you go check out his channel and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Jesse recommended this guy, I don't really follow him anymore, so I have no clue what kind of stuff he's getting into now. So little disclaimer there. I'm not recommending and saying take his word as gospel by any means, but growing up, I literally just wanted to be anything but average. And Mark Bell has this quote. It says, "I'd rather be dead than average." And he got that from his brother, but I literally felt like that growing up, like to live an average, ordinary life. If someone told me, you've got to live an absolute normal life that has to be average in all areas, ordinary, you've got to work 9 to 5 for the next 45 years, you'll retire at roughly 68, and you'll live on half to 2/3 of what you grew up on, what you were making at your peak years, and here's the deal, you're going to live till this age, and you're going to, I wouldn't want to go through it. So growing up, I did, I was into weightlifting, I was into tumbling, I got into martial arts, I was super into music. Like I just wanted to do whatever the average thing is that people do. I just wanted to do something outside of that. I didn't play a whole lot of regular sports. I didn't play a ton of things like, basketball, soccer. Like I played some basketball, I played some soccer, I did golf for years, but I wanted to get into the quote unquote, the extreme sports, the things that most people didn't do. So I got into things like snowboarding. I got into BMX very, very, very heavily. I got into parkour at a young age. So I just wanted to do something that was outside of the norm. Like most people can't run up a wall and do a backflip off it. So for me, when I was, 14, I'm like, oh, I've got to learn how to do that. Like how many people can do that? Like probably not a whole lot of people that you're going to see out on the street. So I want to learn how to do that. I got into martial arts and I'm like, I want to get a black belt, because not a whole lot of people get a black belt. I got into weightlifting and I'm like, you know what? Not a whole lot of people have really good, like chiseled, strong, fit physique. So I want to have that. I got into, BMX, and at 12 years old, I'm literally piling up snow in the winter to learn how to do backflips on my bicycle, because how many people can do backflips on a bicycle? Probably not a whole lot. So I literally just wanted to do anything I could to not feel average. Probably came from quite a bit of just like low self-esteem. Like I was a showboater, I was a show-off, hot dogger, whatever you want to call it. I really liked, kind of all eyes on me, look what I can do. And as I grew up, I realized, not a whole lot of people like that guy. So I kind of, put that off to the side. I'm like, okay, I still like doing these things. I still enjoy these skill sets, but like not everyone has to know that you can do that. Maybe some of it's just for you. And that's kind of where I'm at now. I still enjoy a lot of those things, but it's really just more for me. And I'll do little things here and there. Like my son thinks it's funny if I do a backflip or a front flip or something else, like he laughs. So I still do those things, but it's not something that I'm like, hey, look at this, So anyway, I started working a couple days before I was 15. I got a job. I started working I think a day or two after I turned 15 at a factory that made like basically a little electrical box that monitored water pumps. So I started working there. I worked 20 hours a week. I worked like 7 to noon or something like that. So whatever that would work out to be, 25 hours a week. I think that was the max that I could work at the time. Some of you grew up working on farms and you worked 80 hours a week when you were 11 years old. I had a regular job. We lived in town, didn't grow up on a farm. So that was, I started working, and then I got into construction right out of, or like during high school. I got into construction, and in between there, I worked at a tree service one summer, and then I worked at a Chinese restaurant as well as a server and just doing food prep, washing dishes, all kinds of other stuff. And I basically just worked part-time. Besides, in the summers, I would work full-time, 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours a week. And as I'm nearing high school, as I'm getting ready to graduate, I'm getting to the point where, you start getting that question, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? What do you want to do for a job? What do you want to do for a career? And I never had an answer to that question at all. I never had any sort of an answer. And it really got annoying. It really got on my nerves as people are asking me, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And I'm like, I have no idea what I want to do. I didn't enjoy anything so much in school that I'm like, you know what? I would love to do this for the rest of my life. I didn't enjoy any of the jobs that I'd ever had, that I'd ever seen, enough to say, you know what, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. So as I'm getting this question, what do you want to do? I'm like, I've got no clue. I'm pretty sure that doing backflips, lifting weights, and playing piano for endless hours a day is not going to, and singing different things like that, BMX, I'm pretty sure that's not going to pay the bills, because I'm not going to go professional in that. So I've got to figure out something. So my first dream before I actually got into the working world, by the way, was to be a concert pianist. I wanted to be a concert pianist. I wanted to play, fill music halls like I talked about in the last episode, Joshua Bell. That's what I wanted to do with the piano. I wanted to play for crowds of people and just basically make money by being a professional musician. That was my first real dream. And I would play piano 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours a day before I realized, like, hey, I've got a license and I can date and whatever else. Like I just wanted to do that. But as I get to the end of high school, I'm getting into sales for the first time ever. I had got into personal training, so I'm essentially doing sales there because I'm selling a client on why they should work with me and how many days their program should be, and here's why, and I'm making recommendations, and I'm kind of starting to advise people on their fitness. So I became a personal trainer, and I actually worked for myself. I think I was about 17, maybe 18 years old. I worked for myself that entire summer. That was like the most freedom I'd ever have, and I was still making decent money. I'm living at home, don't really have that many bills. I'm still making decent money. So I'm a personal trainer, and I started selling. It was Advocare. It was a supplement company, direct sales. First experience I ever really had with like official sales. And so I'm selling Advocare, and I'm building an income there. And I'm starting to kind of grow a team and things like that in the direct sales space. And then I was also doing personal training. I quit doing Advocare maybe a year and a half later, and then I got into college. So I get into college, and I had never felt like I was really supposed to go to college, but it was just kind of like something that everyone else did. And my dad and my mom were very clear, like, you do not have to go to college. Like, it doesn't make you any more or any less of a person if you do or do not go. It's literally just a piece of paper. If you know what you want to do, you can go to college. So I ended up going to NC State here in Ohio for just a little bit, getting some, credits for courses that I didn't want to have to pay full price for at a regular college. And then I attended a college at Beaver County Community College in Pennsylvania, and I went to school for aviation and aeronautics. So I learned how to fly, and I learned how to study airspace, and I went through the FAR, the Flight Air Regulations book, and I'm taking these tests, and it was a ridiculous amount of studying. The tests were extremely hard. Like, it was not a slack major, and I ended up going to I went to the office, and we were looking at my credit hours, and they flat out told me, like, you can't have this many hour-long flight time scheduled per week and be in all these classes. Like, you're not actually allowed to have. I had like 21 credit hours plus my flight time, and they're like, you're not allowed to do that, because flight time was like anywhere from 4 to 6 hours a week, sometimes more if you could do 2 on the same day. Like, it was a lot. So they're like, you're not allowed to do that. I'm like, okay. And then I get to a situation where I am failing, and oddly enough, I was almost failing physics, which was actually my favorite class. So I'm taking physics because we had to understand, centrifugal and centrifugal force and all of these things acting on the airplane. That kind of tied into learning physics. So I'm going through physics, and I'm not a slouch by any means, but I'm learning how to study because I was homeschooled. So like, I always had, the teacher was catering specifically to the way that I learned. And we had tutors and things like that. If I didn't understand something, if I was having a hard time in a subject, I would go get tutors. I would, private whatever, and then I would pass that class because we always did whatever that took. I didn't get to fudge things or like, oh well, he got close. Like my parents were actually really rough on our grading, and let's say that normally kids would fail at like a 63, I would fail at like a 69. Like so my parents really raised the bar on us in that area. And if I gave the right answer in like let's say it was a written, write your answer here, and I spelled like one of the words wrong, like I would get points taken off for that. Like I gave the right answer. So that was how I grew up. But when I got into college, I was not used to the way that the professors lectured. Like I'm not a sit there and just listen and do nothing, and that's how I learn. That wasn't my personality. So I was failing out of physics. And I began to pray about like, Lord, if you want me to be here, because I went with kind of, there's fog over that entire area of my life still today, because I'm like, was I supposed to go there? Was I not? Like, what's up with that season of my life? But I was there for about 2.5 months, and I prayed and prayed and prayed. And I literally have guys that are telling me, hey, you can come study with us. We study drunk. Literally, like, we drink, get buzzed, and then get drunk, and then we study. And they're passing with like 93s, like A's, A pluses, 98s, just like ridiculous. And I'm like, okay, if I'm not supposed to be here, like I need to know. And I prayed specifically, like, help me to pass this specific test. I was studying like 2-3 hours a day. I was in like small group studying. I was doing flashcards. I was doing all the stuff outside of these guys that are like, hey, you can come study with us if you drink. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. Not my thing. Never has been my thing. Never will be my thing. I'm not doing it. So come with us. Come study. That's okay. Like I'm studying 2 or 3 hours a day, and I ended up failing that specific test. And I can remember specifically, and I'm building up to something here, but that weekend, my dad had come down from Ohio to visit me, and him and I are talking, and we're about to go out to dinner, and I go in the bedroom to grab something, and I'm kind of taking a while, and my dad comes back there, and I'm in tears because my dad had sold a property. He has a bunch of different properties, real estate, farmland, stuff like that. That was kind of something he got into in his early 40s. And he had sold a property that he planned to build a house on at one time to put me through college. And I was going to pay him back when I got the job because it paid $150,000 to $180,000 a year. And pretty much if you went to the school, that was kind of like a ticket into getting that job for the FAA for air traffic control. So I'm at the school. I know that Dad's paying for it. Like I'm working so much in school and flight time. Like I don't even really have time to necessarily work a job. Like it was not recommended that you do that at all in this program because it was so intense. And I'm failing out of this class, and I had gotten my answer. Like, I knew I was doing what it took to pass, and I wasn't making it. So I prayed about it, and I got that answer. My dad comes in my room. I can distinctly remember where this is at. And my dad comes into my room, and we start to talk, and he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, Dad, I literally just, this was all I said. I said, I'm not supposed to be here. It was, I believe it was Garfield Avenue or Garfield Street. Oddly enough, I lived right off of Short Street. I'm 5'3", so that's kind of ironic. But so my dad's in the bedroom, and I tell him I'm not supposed to be here, and he's like, "What do you mean?" And we talked, and I'm the kind of person that I always knew that I knew that I knew. Like when I made a decision, for example, my wife and I dated 7 months, and then got married. Like literally, like just pretty much like, hey, we're getting married, and we got married. It was like we talked about it, got married the end of that week. So we talked about it on Tuesday, got married on Friday. Like we just knew. So when I made a decision, when I knew that I knew that I knew, like I was done. We packed up my stuff that night after my dad and I went out to dinner, and like that was it. I never looked back. We went back the next weekend, got everything else, took me out of my classes, paid whatever was owed, and then I was done. And then I came back, and I decided that I was going to go to Ashland University. I was going to go be a piano major. I got classically trained in piano, and that was all going great, but then I ended up not getting into any of the classes that I needed to be a music major, specifically in piano. I ended up getting none of the classes that I needed, like literally none. And I was praying about, man, do I go back? Do I not? And it wasn't because college was super hard. Like I was passing all my classes. I was, AB student. Like I was fine. I think I had 1 C in psychology, oddly enough, the thing that I enjoy the most now out of anything I ever studied outside of fitness. And so I'm praying, am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do this? Because it's very expensive. I got very little financial help. Like I just wasn't, scored low on my ACT because I was always a terrible test taker. So I get into college, and literally none of my classes, I'm sitting next to a friend of mine at the time, was actually the girl that I was dating in college. I'm sitting next to her, and it was like 10:30 p.m. I distinctly remember it was 10 or 10:30 p.m. and we're sitting there, and like you click a button and you register for all your classes. None of mine got green lighted, like none of them. And she's like, "What the heck's going on?" I'm like, "No, like I can't get into any of my classes. Like I didn't have basically the permission to do that. So none of my classes got green lighted," is what they called it. I emailed my advisor, the person that was supposed to sit down. Okay, you need this class and this class. And she got back to me the next day. I went and saw her, and she's like, well, you can take these classes instead. You'll just graduate a semester later. And I'm like, okay, like there's my answer. I was done. I went and got a job at a grocery store as like a carry out. So I'm bagging and carrying out people's groceries, asking, would you like paper or plastic? So now I've dropped out of college and I've dropped out of university, never knew what I wanted to do, never liked any job that I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. And I'm working at a grocery store. I'm 18 years old. That leads to, I'm selling Cutco at that time. I'm selling table knives, and I was actually the top person in the office one week, and then the number 2 person in the office the next week, and me and a friend of mine, his name is Caleb Burns, awesome guy. We were flipping back and forth. He'd be number 1, I'd be number 1, he'd be number 1, I'd be so we did that for a couple weeks, and then we ended up quitting that because the leadership team was like, hey, we want you guys to start coming in more, and we just, it's going to take a lot of time. So I ended up quitting that. I don't know if you're picking up a trend here, but I quit a ton of things, and it formed a habit in my life of, you know what, I'll just quit. You know what, I'll just quit. And it wasn't because I was lazy. Keep in mind, literally as I'm starting to work right out of high school, I'm still going to the same church that I grew up in after I come back from college. And a friend of our family literally verbalized to my parents that basically Jesse doesn't like to work. I think he's lazy. And this is one of those guys. He's a phenomenal guy. I know exactly who it was. Love the guy to death. Great family. I grew up with him, grew up with his son, very close friend of mine for years and years and years. But he was one of those people that really just found value in working hard. He was just proud of the fact that he worked hard because he worked hard. Well, at least I'm not lazy. Even if there was there wasn't even necessarily something that came out of it, wasn't even having to make money. It was just well, I'm a hard worker, and it's just this badge of honor. I'm busy all the time. And for me, I looked at that, and remember, when I'm 12 years old, having a conversation with my dad about what does it take to be successful, 50, 60 hours a week, pinching pennies, do-it-yourself projects, and I'm like, if that's what it takes to be successful, then I don't want any part of it. I've talked about this before in the show in episodes 4 and 5 and some other episodes. So for me, I'm like, okay, the personality that I am, if I don't see the worth in something, it's very easy for me to just be like, okay, well, I'm done with that. I'm not doing that. So for me, when I'm looking at working a job, there's no potential for me to really move up into anything that I want. I hated everything that I'd ever done, and I'm going to continue going through jobs. But so I quit all these things, dropped out of college once, dropped out of university. A lot of the people that I know are like, college is the answer. It was right up there with believing in God. Going to college was that important to these people. It was the thing that you do with your life to make something of yourself. And if you went to college, I'm not throwing stones. It was just not for me because I did not want a job. I didn't want a career. I didn't want to be, quote unquote, a professional in the workforce. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to get to a life that was unaverage. I wanted a 5% life even then. I had met people that were financially free. I distinctly remember there was a guy came out on stage. I was at a conference in the direct sales industry for Advocare when I'm 18 years old. This guy comes out on stage. I had built a small team at that point. I'm making, $400, $600 a month. This guy comes out. He's making $70,000 a month. And that guy woke up every single day, ate the same breakfast every day. This is what he wanted to do. He ate the exact breakfast that he wanted. He went and worked out. He owned several gyms. He was financially free. If he wanted to wake up and do nothing for the next 6 months, he was going to make $70,000 a month. And I realized, I'm going to work. I felt like a sucker. I'm working every day, and some guy's making double what I make per year every month, and he's working part-time. Man, what's he know that I don't know? What is he doing? So, that put that desire in my head, I want to be free. So from the grocery store, I'm working there. I didn't hate that job, but I'm selling knives. That's going well. And I'm working 10 hours a week, making $300 for selling table knives. It's fun. I'm great at it. I had a 90-some% or 85% closing ratio. So if I went into 8.5 out of 10 people that I went and talked to ended up buying. So I had a really high close ratio. I'm doing great. I'm getting awards in the office. They're giving me free stuff on top of the bonuses that I'm making. I'm working at a grocery store. I cut back my hours at the store so I can do more sales. And then the girl that I'm dating at the time, I thought she wanted to get married. So I'm like, okay, I'll go get a real adult job at a factory making $9 an hour. And they bumped me up to $9.50 an hour, woohoo. And they're like, don't tell anyone about this. Usually we wait until training's over, but they liked me during the interview. So I work at a factory. Worked there for about 6 months. Some racist stuff happens. A buddy of mine gets fired, literally because one of the people in management was super racist. And my buddy was... he was a black guy, and him and I had a blast together, and I'm like, okay, that's not right. He was my favorite person to work with, and you guys gave him the shaft, basically, strictly because the guy in management named Wes, by the way, that guy had a problem with him strictly because of the tone of his skin. Like that's not right. And there were some other things that happened. I ended up leaving there. I went and got a job at O'Charlie's. I was a server. Again, from there, I worked there for a little bit. The people there were pretty rough, some really just terrible language. The stuff that was discussed back in the kitchen, I'm like, man, this is not my cup of tea. And they ended up basically getting to where they weren't really scheduling me anymore at all. Like I was being scheduled here and there, but it was awful shifts. I was barely making anything. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to go do something else because I call in and I'm not on the schedule over and over and over again. This is something people do in corporate America. Instead of treating you like a person, instead of being an adult, instead of being the bigger person and saying, hey, let's actually have a conversation. This is not a fit for us. So, we're going to kind of phase you out of the schedule. Why you find something else? We'll still give you hours, but I just want to have that conversation. Like, you're not getting fired, but please go find something else because this just is not a fit. That would have been the right thing to do. Manager's name is Rachel, and her and the other guy that worked there were, I don't know. I was the only person there that didn't go get sloshed on the weekends, that didn't drop the F-bomb like it was going out of style. Like, I was the only person there that was just a nice person, didn't come back and cuss the customers out. Like, so I just didn't really, I was kind of a square peg in a round hole. I just didn't really fit in there. And, yeah, so I ended up getting phased out of the schedule, went and got a job at Dick's Sporting Goods. I was building bikes there. You can tell that I've done a lot of different things. So I'm building bikes, and at the same time, I am getting absolutely obsessed with CrossFit. 2015, I get my certified level 1 instructor for CrossFit. I become a CrossFit coach. I'm making $20 an hour for coaching classes that I really would have done for free. And I got my National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer level 4, or it was CPT 4 that year. Now they're on like CPT 8 or 7 or 9 or something like that. So I went and got my CrossFit certified level 1, CrossFit CO1 is what it's called, and my National Academy of Sports Medicine, also known as NASM, CPT 4. And now I'm officially I have my certificates, which is, similar to like a degree, if you will, but so different, but like I had certificates, so I'm a legit trainer. So I'm doing coaching CrossFit now, I'm doing personal training, and I am working at Dick's Sporting Goods. I ended up getting let go from the gym that I was coaching at. It was an odd situation. I'm still friends with the guy that owns it today. Phenomenal guy, wonderful gym. Still actually is one of the places that I work out at. But so that coach basically told me, like, I'm not comfortable. There was a situation that happened. There was a misunderstanding. It didn't look well. It didn't come out well. And there was no like ill intent there. But he's like, hey, I'm not really comfortable with you coaching anymore. But you can still be a personal trainer. You can still work out here. Like, we're cool. So I went from being a coach and a personal trainer just down to being a personal trainer, and then I ended up getting a job at a tree service, again, the same one that I had worked at before, because Dick's Sporting Goods was just like, they're giving me like 4-hour shifts, and it was like 40 minutes to get there one way or something, so I'm like, this financially is not going to cut it. Between coaching CrossFit, personal training, doing that, so I went back to the tree service. While I'm at the tree service, I'm still doing personal training, and I started a lawn care service. So I bought a trailer, I borrowed my dad's Jeep, and he's like, hey, I've got multiple push mowers. You can have this one. You can borrow my weed whacker. Like, I paid for gas, all that good stuff. So now I'm doing a tree service, working until almost dark, still doing personal training on the weekends, and I started a lawn care service. From there, I did that for a while, and then I ended up getting a job in management, my first ever, like, real adult job. I was making, I think, $30,400 a year, which was the most I'd ever made at that point, because everything else that I ever did was like just low skill labor. So I'm in management now, and I am working at this company, and I'm also coaching tumbling, and I'm doing personal training. So I'm coaching tumbling, doing personal training. I'm doing jiu-jitsu. I'm not coaching that, but I started the new martial art. Like, I was just busy. So between church, working a salary job 6 to 7 days a week, if people called off, I had to cover their shifts, and training. Like, I was working out like 30 hours a week between jiu-jitsu, tumbling, and powerlifting, and then some CrossFit stuff. I'm still doing personal training. I'm getting paid to coach private lessons in tumbling, and I'm working at a tumbling school. So I had all this stuff going on, right? And I'm working at this salary management job, and this was one of the first times that I realized, like, define, learn, do. I talked about that in a previous episode, but I realized, okay, there's people that work here, that have worked here a long time, that have been divorced several times, that party like they're, 21 years old and they're 41 years old. They chain smoke, like they're not happy, they're stressed out all the time. The one dude told me that he worked like 40 or 50 hours a week, physically at the buildings, drove all over God's green earth, and then worked every night in front of his TV with his laptop, and his daughter was in daycare 5 to 5. He was recently divorced. He was close to my dad's age, and he was dating a girl my age, and he was like trying to sell me on the fact that he was enjoying his life. So I'm looking at, okay, this is the next position that I'm going to be groomed, like best case scenario. I was starting to be like a turnaround person, which means that you did a great job with these accounts, this building and this building. I ran 2 different buildings. They were smaller accounts, so I had like anywhere from 7 to 9 staff members. I did everything from hiring to firing to W-9s to write-ups to ordering chemicals to inspecting the rooms to inspecting the floors to taking care of the floors myself, like all kinds of different stuff I did. And I ended up working a stint of 28 days straight, and they're grooming me to be a district manager, which would have been somewhere between $40,000 and $70,000 a year as a 22-year-old working in dress clothes every day. The position above that would have been a company. No, actually, I would have had a company car as a district manager, or at least a stipend to get a company car. They would have paid for my gas, all that stuff. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, that's best case scenario. If I keep doing what I'm doing, if I keep performing. So I got this raise from $30,400 to $33,000 a year, which by the time they raised taxes and I moved to a building that was in a different town, I made like $43 more per paycheck. Like, it was abysmal. But it was a raise, and I had like, it was this, you did such a good job. Like, we're grooming you to be a district manager. So I put in my notice, and then I had this conversation with, my manager's, it was my manager's manager. So like the regional manager has a conversation with me, you've got a lot of potential. Are you sure about this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, they asked me so many times, are you sure? Are you sure? You're sure? Yes, I was sure. This is not what I want to keep doing. I didn't tell him why. And I learned a hard lesson here. I had about $8,000 and some dollars in the bank, and I had very, very, very little debt. I was pretty frugal overall as far as like I saved money every single month, but I was going out to eat a lot outside of, quote unquote, being frugal. I was going out to eat a ton. I was single. Like, I was enjoying myself. And I'm going from making a steady paycheck. It was like, I think it was like $943 every 2 weeks after tax, and my bills were all of like, maybe $900 a month. So I had a lot of discretionary income for a single guy. My bills actually, I think, were less than that. I had very, very, very little bills, like real bills that I had to pay every single month. I didn't have a car payment, any of that stuff. So I'm working at this place. I end up thinking that I have like 3 to 5 different places that I can go that are all like these really high salaries. I've done some online stuff. I've done some interviews. So I leave that place. I give them a month notice thinking that, okay, I have all these different things to go to. That's called if come money, as in it's not guaranteed. If it comes, I'll be okay. So I end up draining my savings, having to take a job at a hardware store in Shiloh, Ohio, super small hardware store. Again, wonderful people, but they couldn't afford to pay me a ton. So I was getting like, $10 an hour was what I was making there because they just weren't a huge operation. So I'm working at this hardware store, making like $10 an hour. My bills are actually more than I'm bringing in every week. I'm still doing personal training. I'm still doing all this other stuff on the side. I had met a friend at jiu-jitsu that exposed me to some information of basically, here's a path that you can use to get financially free, and I'll help you along the way. So I'm also starting to learn more and more about passive income, trying to still get to this dream of freedom that I saw when that guy came out on stage when I was 18, who was making $70,000 a month. Waking up when he wanted to wake up, doing what he wanted to do, living a life that he wanted to live, driving nice cars, having a nice house, having no money problems, having no time problems. And I'm like, man, I still want that. So I'm broke. I'm working at this hardware store, and I'm doing just like the most menial task you can imagine. I'm sweeping floors, I'm boxing up product, I'm taking orders when the truck comes in, and okay, this goes here. I'm scanning things on the system for inventory. Like I'm counting. Okay, we have this many of this and this many of this, and I'm learning more and more about how to live this 5% life of financial freedom. And I'm listening to all this information. I'm starting to read books by successful people. I'm learning all this stuff, and I'm feeling like a loser because I'm making $10 an hour after all this ambition, after all these years, after all of these different things that I tried. I tried selling supplements. I tried selling knives. I tried college. I tried university. I'd had all these different jobs. I'd worked in customer service. I had worked in construction. I'd worked in a factory. I'd worked in, all these different industries. I've been a personal trainer. I've been a CrossFit coach. I've got these certificates. I had gotten my black belt when I was 16. Like I've done some things with my life, and I had this dream, and I'm like, man, I feel like a nobody. I feel like a nobody doing nothing, going nowhere in my life. And I've got this big dream, and I'm frustrated. I'm not even able to pay my bills, like literally not able to pay my bills at all. So from there, I go back into roofing because some guy tells me he'll pay me $11 an hour, 30 to 40 hours a week. And I'm like, hot dog, if I can make more money, like, love these people that I'm working for, but I am broke. I need to do something else. So now I go back into roofing. That didn't last very long. I worked with that crew. There's people that are coming into work high. There's people that are coming into work just not quality folks. And the boss goes to Vegas. I hadn't got my paycheck. It was like 2 weeks. I'm calling him. I'm texting him. I'm leaving him voicemails. And I'm a Christian, so I don't want to like go off on the guy and ruin the fact that, oh, that's how you people are. So I'm trying to be discreet about this, but I'm like, dude, I need my money. Like, I am broke as a joke. It's not even funny, but I am absolutely poor. Like, capital P, poor. Like, I need my money. Finally, he meets up with me. It was like 60 hours of pay that he owed me. Gives me $300. He's like, hey, this is all that I have. Because he had gone to Vegas. So my paycheck went to the slots and the tables and everything else. So I'm like, that's cool. That is great. But there's nothing I can do about it. What am I going to do? Like, wring the guy's neck for money. So I end up looking for another job. Now, up to this point, I had done so many interviews that I got really, really, really good at interviewing. I got good at looking around their office, looking at different picture frames, asking about their kids. If I saw a book on their shelf and I had read the book or I'd heard of the book, I discussed the author with them. When they sat down and they started asking me questions, I would ask them questions. But how are you doing? How long have you worked here? Do you enjoy what you do? You seem like you're really good at, it seem like you've done tons of interviews. You seem like you enjoy working with people. I take it this is a pretty good place. Like, I would smooze with people. I would shuck and jive. Like, I got good working with people because I'm reading these books. I'm listening to all these audios and podcasts and audiobooks by people that have done things with their life, that are good with people, that are good in sales, that are good in persuasion, that understand psychology, that understand marketing. I had started to learn all this stuff, so I'm getting good at interviews. So I landed this job as a customer service rep. I needed this job. I landed this job, and I worked there for a while. I looked at my call log one month, and I had taken like 3,300 or 3,400 calls in a 30-day period. Now, mind you, while I was working at that job, I'm making like $10-15 an hour. I was working 10 to 12 hour days, 5 to 6 days a week because they had like unlimited overtime. So I was taking a lot of overtime because I'm like, hey, if they're going to pay it out and I don't know when it's going to end, I'm going to work as much of it as I can. I'm still doing personal training. I'm starting to build another business on the side, learning about how I can produce passive income. And I'm working at this call center. So I'm every day at my lunch break. I would eat during my 15-minute breaks and I would read for about 50 minutes. I would go pee, I would grab some coffee, and I would go sit in my car, put on a deep focus playlist on Spotify, and just read. That's all I would do for 50 minutes, 50. So 5 minutes more than 45 minutes to make sure it doesn't sound like I'm saying 15. So I would read for these 50 minutes. Books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, books like The Magic of Thinking Big by Dr. David Schwartz, books like How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling, books like How to Have Power and Confidence in Dealing with People by Les Gibbon. I would be reading books like this. By the way, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling is written by a guy named Frank Betcher, and if you're in sales at all, I would highly recommend you read the book. But I'm reading books like this, and then I'm going into work and I'm dealing with frustrated, irate, screaming, swearing at you customers. So as I'm doing this, I'm getting really good at de-escalating calls. So I learned another skill set there. Now, I'm not really making very much money at all, but I'm growing my skill set. So pretty soon, I'm not a supervisor, but I'm taking calls to de-escalate them as a supervisor. So when someone says, can I speak with a supervisor? And there's another rep on the phone who needs a supervisor, they raise their hand, I look in the account notes, tell me about the conversation, what's going on. I get all my ducks in a row, and then I say, okay, go ahead and transfer them to my line. I sit down. Hello, sir. How are you doing today? I understand that blah, blah, blah is going on. You were just speaking with Jasmine, and she told me this. How can I help you? So I would take these call de-escalation. So I would go from a person that was screaming, angry, like the rep on the phone is like, there's no way that this person, like, they are so mad. I would hop on the phone with them, and I'm not bragging here. Like, this is just my journey. I'd hop on the phone with them, and I would match everything. I'm reading another book that I had read at this time was a book that was, I think it was Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. I read around this time. So I'm doing things like mirroring the person. If the person is talking loud, I'm raising my volume a little bit, not in like a violent way, but like if they're a loud talker, I'll be a little bit of a loud talker. If they talk fast, which comes very naturally to me, I would talk fast. If they were using certain words like yeah or yep over and over and over again, I would do the same thing. So I would end up getting off the phone as we close the conversation. The person's like, hey, thanks, buddy. I appreciate you, man. I hope you have a great day. You're, blah, blah, blah. Like I would make a friend with this person in the quick, even if I literally told them the exact same thing and the call went nowhere. They couldn't get what they wanted. The way I explained it and the skills that I was learning while I'm reading these books, while I have this dream of living a 5% life, Again, it's about your journey. It's not about where you're at right now. It's about what am I learning along the way? Good, bad, or indifferent. What am I learning along the way that I could take to my next step in the journey? So I go from working there to a Japanese hibachi grill because I'm like, well, I'm not making a whole lot of money here, and I can't stay at this place. Like it was kind of a nasty call center. They employed a lot of very, very, very low income, low ambition. Like, oh, you'll give me voluntary time off, I'll take it. And then they're like, oh, I don't have enough paycheck to buy my weed. Like there's bed bugs in the place. Like it was gross. But again, I had to make money. So I go from this inbound customer service job where I'm taking, 3,000 calls a month. I'm on the phones 10 hours a day to working at a Japanese hibachi grill. Now, this was very interesting. I'm not going to say the name of the place, but it was a Japanese hibachi grill owned by Chinese people. There were Mexican chefs in the back. The guys that were actually doing the Japanese hibachi cooking were Chinese. And then there were all English, like American native servers. So it was like the four corners of the world coming together, man. It was crazy. The Chinese people spoke Spanish to the guys in the back that were cooking that were from Mexico. And then the names on the menu were Japanese food. Then all of the servers spoke a little bit of Chinese, a little bit of Spanish, a little bit of whatever else. And obviously we spoke English. So I'm learning more Spanish because I'm working with these guys from Mexico every day. I'm learning some Chinese. So that was a neat place to work. But again, I'm making almost nothing. My passive income business is starting to grow to where I'm making, a couple $100s a month on a passive residual, like it's coming in month after month. That's starting to grow, but now I'm not paying my bills because my job is making $800 a month. I'm running up credit cards like I'm broke. I'm getting calls from collectors. Hey, do you remember our agreement? I'm like, yeah, I remember. I just don't have the money. Like I can't pay you. I'm sorry. So at this point, I end up leaving that Japanese hibachi grill, and I go to a temp agency, and I'm like, dude, I just need work. I just need work. I get a job at McGraw-Hill, like the publisher of How to Win Friends and Influence People. I get a job at McGraw-Hill through a temp service, and I'm working there as one of their customer service call center reps. And these are inbound and outbound calls. I'm helping people order books for their schools, for their universities. Okay, is it the purple one? Does it say this? It's the 4th edition. Here's the the ISBN number, okay, it's, 973, blah, 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 blah. Like, so I'm doing that, and I'm making like $14.50 an hour. I started actually getting out of debt. I was very frugal with my money. I had my rent, my groceries, my phone, and some other things. And then outside of that, I'm just trying to put money in the bank and get back on my feet after all this time of being broke. So I worked there for a while, and then I get a call one day. Hey, this is the temp agency, and by the way, you are done effective immediately. Like this Friday, you are done with the job. Like there's nothing else. Sorry, come back into the temp agency Monday. We can find you something else. So I'm thinking, okay, again, corporate America, that's super rude. Like, why couldn't you have told us, hey, why don't you take your stuff? And, we appreciate you so much, but we hired these 3 people, and we're going to have cake and ice cream today, but you guys are done. Temp agency will take care of you. Nope. It was just, that was it. I was done. So I met some fun people there, and, so anyway, I'm thinking of certain people that I knew at that job, thinking of Tashi and Ashley and different people that I worked with. I enjoyed some of those people, but so I go from that job. Now I'm in between jobs again, and I'm broke again because my money is coming out of the bank. I still have bills. I have very little money coming in. I still have expenses for this business that I'm building. I'm still doing some personal training, but I don't have enough money really coming in to like cover bills. So my savings account is getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. Just like when I left that management job, I had taken a savings account from $8,000 to like less than a couple $100s because I had to live off that because I couldn't find anything. I was applying. When I say that I've applied to a lot of places, I've probably put out well over 200 applications in my lifetime. Some of those with cover letters, some of those with references, all this stuff. Like some of them were super professional. Some of them were like, I'm going into McDonald's to fill out an application, or I'm going into, a hardware store to fill out an application. I have done dozens and if I've had almost 24 occupations or more than that, I've done dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of interviews. So it's something I'm very comfortable with. If you told me, hey, you've got to work a job the rest of your life, I would do like 100 interviews and I would pick the one that I wanted because I like doing interviews. They're fun. I enjoyed that process because I had to do it so many times. So now I leave McGraw-Hill, temp agency, hey, you're done. Now I get a job as a wellness clinic director. I almost got a job at a book printing company, very large bookmasters, actually. I was going to get a job as their, like, basically finance, whatever, like looking over their finances. It didn't require me to be a CPA, and they were going to pay me like $14 an hour. And I'm like, I don't really want to do that because it was literally 9 to 5. And again, I want freedom, but if I have to, I'll take it. So I go into a wellness clinic, the gal, Dr. Jen, actually, someone that I worked for quite a while, offers me a job, tells me the hourly rate, and I'm like, yes, like, no posture, no, like, let me think about it, no, like, I'll get back to you. I'm like, yes, please, like, I will work here. Like, so now I'm back in the health arena, and so I'm doing personal training, I'm working at this wellness clinic, and I enjoyed that. Like, for the most part, I enjoyed that. I'm coaching people in weight loss. I'm matching people with programs. I'm doing some sales. I'm doing all this different stuff. I'm figuring out, okay, you want the program, so let's figure out financing together. Like, I was basically a coach and a salesperson, and then I handled some of the back-end logistics. Like, I had to do everything from some of their P&Ls, like what all their bills were, ordering the supplements, tracking what went out versus what came in. Like, okay, here's our profit margin, following up with the leads. So I'm working with the Facebook company, following up with the leads, getting them scheduled, doing the actual appointments, doing the consultations. I'm doing all this stuff. So I'm basically running a business on my own at this point with the supervision of the person that actually owned the company. So that was a unique experience because I literally handled everything from the lead is generated or we get the referral all the way to the end of the process where they're done with their 3-month or 6-month program. So I did everything from calling them the first time, scheduling them to come in, to, saying goodbye to them the last time they walked out the door, their progress pictures, everything in between. People shed tears while they were in the office with me. We shared everything from, hey, how's your marriage doing? Like anything that would cause them to succeed or fail in the program, we talked about. And I began to realize the importance of mindset. And during this time, I started to go through, I had been depressed on and off my whole life. And this is coming to a close here, guys, but I've been depressed on and off since I was about 18 because I never knew what I wanted to do. And I felt like something was wrong with me because everyone else knew what they wanted to do. Everyone else was like, or so I thought, yep, I'm going to do this. And what I didn't know is other people were just secretly unhappy with what they did, but they were acting like it was cool. Like, oh yeah, I work my job, but I have plenty of time to do XYZ on the weekends, and it's not that bad, and they pay me this, and I've got my free time on the weekends, and I get this many vacation hours. What I didn't realize is that most people felt stuck. Most people knew, man, I've got to do this crap until I retire. Most people knew that the generation ahead of them that are retired, they're seeing the fixed incomes, they're seeing people. So I'm being real, like, hey, this sucks. I hate this. I don't know what I want to do. That's a problem. I want this dream of a 5% life. I want this other thing. I don't know how to get there. So I struggled with depression. I struggled with lack of purpose. I struggled with, man, what the heck am I here for? What am I supposed to do with my life? So I struggled with that for years. And as I'm working at this wellness clinic, I go through some things and I start reading books. Specifically, I get obsessed, absolutely just infatuated, enthralled. Nothing interested me more than mindset. And I go through this journey and I learn how to beat depression myself. I learn how to get rid of it for good. I learned how to coach people in weight loss in such a way that it was less about what they were eating and the exercise they were doing and more about their mindset to keep them on track, to keep them consistent. So I learned the importance of mindset when it comes to consistency. I learned how to deal with my own thoughts. I learned what it took to be successful was managing your thought life. So this was the last real job that I ever had because I'm learning about all these things in my life and I've put so much good information in. Like, you're not going to put good, healthy food in solid training and not get stronger and leaner and have more energy. Like, it's like sleeping a ton and then having no energy. Like, if you're rested, if you put in enough good, you're going to get something out. So I'm filling my mind constantly with success. I want to work for myself. I've got goal cards in my pocket, laminated every day. I want to work for myself. I'm looking at that dozens of times a day, thinking about, man, what would it be like to work for yourself? Voila, the opportunity presents itself. My boss at the time, Dr. Jen, buys a marketing course. Now, I was not planning on starting my own marketing agency because the guy that had worked there before me, my buddy Caleb, had started his own marketing agency and then left. So I'm like, I won't start my own marketing agency. Ha, ha, ha. I don't have any interest in doing that because I couldn't even run an Excel sheet. Google Sheets was woo, that's advanced tech for me at the time. How the heck am I going to run Facebook ads online with only a computer and only a computer and Wi-Fi? That's I'm not going to be able to sell things with written words online and a picture on Facebook. I'm not going to do that. Don't worry, Doc. And then lo and behold, she buys a marketing course. The person that was supposed to go through the marketing course ended up writing a note on the desk and said, this is not marketing, it's sales, and I'm against this, blah, blah, blah. I have a marketing degree and we're taught. So I come in one day and she's like, okay, hands out, like, here's the marketing course, here's the login, your job is to go through this. So now I'm building a program around weight loss of all the stuff that I've learned, all the stuff she's taught me, all this other stuff. She's writing some of it, I'm writing some of it. So now I write up this digital program. I'm learning about how to sell digital products. I'm learning how to sell things online. I'm hearing people in the course on these coaching calls to give you accountability and support on the way through this program by this gal named Allie Bjork, who is a ClickFunnels person that was mentored by some of Russell Brunson's stuff and ended up getting financially free, and now, has done very well financially. Probably makes, I don't know, close to $1 million a year, somewhere around there. And I'm going through this course. We're on support calls, and there's like stay-at-home moms that look like literally look like they might work at a daycare in the past. And they're like, yeah, we just did $20,000 last month, and $8,000 of that was profit. And I work 10 hours a week. And I'm like, what? How in the world are they doing this? So now I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn marketing. So we pay this girl to build a sales funnel for the company. And, her name was Roxanne. She was a nice gal. She did a horrible job. It was just an ugly funnel. Now, I know nothing about the software. I know nothing about sales funnels. I know nothing about any of this stuff. I had just started learning the stuff. So I'm like, well, you know what? Told the doctor, I'm like, this funnel's ugly. I don't think it will convert. The term convert means if I run traffic from a Facebook ad to this website, will this actually get people to buy stuff? That's called conversion. Will it generate a lead, or will it get people to click a button, type in their card, buy stuff, and have it shipped to them, or put in their email? Will it convert someone from I'm interested, now I'm a lead, you have my information, now I've purchased your thing, and I'm actually in your world. The first time you ever went to a new restaurant, you were converted when you got there, sat down, looked at the menu, and you're like, okay, I'll buy something here. So now I'm learning how to build sales funnels, because I'm like, this thing sucks. We paid this girl how much money, and this funnel, the colors, everything is just, it's awful. There's no way. She wrote the sales copy. There's no way this is going to convert. So we need to learn how to fix this. So I'm learning all of this stuff about sales funnels, and I'm like, you know what? The guy who's like the king of sales funnels, his name is Russell Brunson, owns I think it's valued at over $1 billion now. ClickFunnels is the company. And I'm like, I'm just going to buy every book he's ever written. So I went and bought his main 3 books, which are called the Trilogy, and they are Expert Secrets, .com Secrets, and Traffic Secrets. So now I'm learning about how to write sales copy. I'm learning about how to actually build sales funnels. I'm learning about how to write headlines. I'm learning about how to write video scripts. I'm learning about how to drive traffic. I'm reading all these books. I literally read all of his books in like a month, which is, and I think I still had other books that I was reading at the time. So some of his books were like 397 pages. One of them I think was like 420 pages. Another one was like, maybe 340. And I bought the audiobooks, and I bought the book, and I went through them, listening to the audiobook, reading the book, and I'm reading this book like 4 or 6 hours a day. I just got to get through this because we've got to fix the sales funnel. So I learned how to fix the sales funnel. I learned how to write sales copy. Now I'm learning how to run Facebook ads, because I'm also running Facebook ads. And then I go and look at our person who's running our Facebook ads marketing, whose name was Mike. Nice guy. I look at the stuff that he's doing, and I'm like, man, I just learned about these sales funnels. I send him a message. I'm like, hey, I think we could make some improvements on this that would actually help us convert more people that land on the page from the Facebook ad. We would get more leads, which would bring our cost per lead down, which means that you could potentially be charging more because you could generate more leads, more qualified leads. So he's like, hey, give it a shot. I rebuilt the entire I rebuilt the entire sales funnel. After I'd read all these books and watched all these YouTube videos and listened to this guy's podcast, I rebuilt the sales funnel, and he's like, man, you do some really good work. Can you do da-da-da-da-da-da for us? I'll pay you $1,000. So he's like, name your price. I said $1,000. And he like, yep, we can do that. Pays me the $1,000 when we're done. And I'm like, man, so now I've learned this skill accidentally. I'm working at the place. I didn't even mean to learn marketing. I didn't even mean to learn sales copy. I didn't even mean to learn how to build websites and how to build sales funnels. But I'm like, you know what? If I can make $1,000 doing this part-time, heck yeah. And then now I have 2 clients that I've ran Facebook ads for. So now I have some case studies, and one of those clients actually stayed on with me and paid me $300 a month. That's all I could afford. That's kind of all I was worth at the time because I was a newbie. So I've got these 2 people that I've ran ads for. One of them's still paying me. This guy paid me $1,000 to do something that I could do at my house on my computer in my spare time when my wife was sleeping. So I ended up, as of January 29th, I had given my boss a very, very, very long notice. I made sure that I built literally a system, a training process, everything. So I don't care if they hired and fired 50 people, they would have a training process, an SOP, a master Google Doc with, They had all the passwords in one place. They had spreadsheets. They had everything they would need, Loom videos, screen recordings, me walking through exactly how to do a consultation. They had access to all the files. Here's the exact website. Here's the flow. Someone comes in, I do this, this, and this. Here's where I go to order the products. Here's the name of the products. If you need this product, it's not available by itself, so call this number, ask for this. They'll ship it. Like, I made a training process, an SOP, standard operational procedure. I made that for that job before I left. I left that job. My last month working there, I am running some stuff for the boss. I have my own clients. I'm doing some freelancing work. This guy who I had built the funnel for and some other stuff, who paid me $1,000, ended up bringing me on for $4,000 a month. So I am literally making like just a couple $100 shy of like $10,000 a month. I'm still working 25 hours a week, plus my marketing agency, plus my wife is working. Like, we're literally bringing in like $10,000 a month. We had no debt during 2020. We paid off all of our debt. So it took us about 19 months from 2019 into 2020. Got totally debt free, $47,500 of debt, totally paid off. We're literally just throwing money in the bank, like saving money hand over fist. And I'm like, you know what? If I can work 20 hours a week and make this much money on the side, then I'm going to go ahead and quit working at the wellness clinic. Well, I did that. And then I did something really awesome. I hired a guy on their team. I was doing interviews. We needed the position filled, and I'm the like process guy. Like, I'm kind of the head honcho over operations. Like, so I was the director of, I did some of the onboarding calls. I was getting to the point where I'm building out procedures. I'm SOPing positions. I'm having people build me screen recordings. I'm writing documents of here's exactly how we do it, walking through Loom videos, screenshots, all this different stuff. I'm building this guy's spreadsheets. I'm creating a real process so we can organize things. And now we know, okay, we get a client, they pay us this much. If everything goes perfectly, if they give us everything we need right up front, access to their Facebook ads account, they give us all the stuff we need for the videos, they give us, the address, the pictures we need. If they give us everything that we need up front to get their account up and running, man, we can get it done in 3.8 hours. That means that it only costs us this many man hours. That means we can onboard and have people ready to go, this many clients per week, so we can scale this fast. Like, I'm doing all this stuff for this guy, okay? And at that point, I hire someone named John, great guy, extremely competent. Here's the issue. John did not have the leadership skills, the sales skills, the marketing skills, the business coaching skills, all the stuff that I'd learned from reading. He didn't have that, but what he did have was all of the technician skills, which was really what that guy had hired me for. Everything else I was doing was a bonus. He hired me to be a technician, to actually just get the thing done, not to think through it, not to look at their processes, not to be a consultant. He hired me and paid me $1,000 a week to do that. So when I hire this guy, I basically just give away the keys to my job, because this guy's better at my job on the technical end than I am. So he's paying this guy $20 an hour. He was basically paying me $50 an hour, if you do the math. And I had hired a VA who, this was communicated, but I had hired a VA in the Philippines, was paying her $5 an hour, which was at that time was like good for her, good for me, or so I thought. She told me later on that she really needed more, which I didn't know for a very long time. So had I known that, I would have paid her more. But I'm paying her $5 an hour. I'm making $50 an hour. I have other clients, like, I'm making really good money, and I'm working like 10 hours a week. Well, that ended up backfiring on me, because he found out this guy was more competent than I was, and he wanted me to be there like 24/7, 365, answering emails, answering direct messages, phone calls at like 10 o'clock at night when I'm trying to have time with my wife. We have a baby coming like literally 6 weeks from this point, and I had just finished doing some high-end, like $100 an hour work for him, and now he's wanting me to answer emails, and hey, can you, like, I'm getting messages when I wake up. I went to bed at 10:30, woke up at 6 every single day, 7 days a week, had a morning routine established. Things were growing great. We're throwing a ton of money in the bank. We have over $25,000 in the bank at this time. Things are going good. I'm working like 10 to 15 hours a week, waking up when I want to, eating breakfast when I want to. I've got someone else that I delegate tasks to every single day. She's taking care of things, kicking butt, taking names. And we have no debt to our name. Cars are paid off. We are still renting. Like, things are going great. And then him and I hop on a call. And after, like, basically him realizing that, hey, you're not going to be there 24/7, 365. Like, you're going to always want to do your own thing. This isn't going to be what you do for the rest of your life. I've been thinking about it for months, and I'm going to let you go. Boom. Gives me some severance. Here's $3,000. I appreciate you, but it's just not a fit, because I hired this guy in that could do my job. So now he's like, why am I shelling out $1,000 a month for this guy that's not going to answer emails at 11 p.m.? So we're going to part ways. So I went from making a couple $100 shy of $10,000 a month in January, and this was January of 2021. So I went from making like basically 10 grand a month, going down to working part-time, working for myself. My first month, fully self-employed, made $6,500 a month, and I was working about 25 hours a week. I'm like, man, this is more money than we have ever made. Throwing money in the bank, like we would pay our tithes, we'd put money in the bank, and then like we had all this money left over still, so we just threw more money in the bank. So we're in this phenomenal position. Literally like 2 weeks before my son is born, Elijah, I get on this Zoom call, totally out of left field. This guy lets me go. We're not going to work together anymore. Like client, employee, whatever relationship, we're done. Like we're not going to use your agency anymore. I'm not going to pay you anymore. Here's $3,000. Best of luck. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? And that morning when I had woke up after becoming full-time self-employed as of January 29th, like I had this sick, scared, almost like just totally unsure, man, what's the future going to hold? And I had gotten over that. I'm like, you know what? I'm doing this. Like I'm going to make this happen. Like we're going to make this go. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And then a few months later, after things are higher than they've ever been, more money than I've ever made, I have all this time. I've got this, man, if I can get one more client like this, I can make close to 6 figures a year working 20 hours a week, have this girl do all my fulfillment, give her a little bit of a raise, pay a guy to run my Facebook ads later on down the road. So I'm doing even less, making more. That's called margin, baby. That is business. But you know what's also business is things happening unexpectedly, getting punched in the face unexpectedly, having clients hop on a call with you that you think you're going to stick with because you thought you were doing a good job for them. They had unspoken expectations, very dangerous. And boom, you lose $4,000 a month just like that. So here's what I learned out of that situation. Never put your future in someone else's hands. I had stopped building my own agency. I had stopped running Facebook ads. I had stopped trying to acquire my own clients because I'm thinking, man, this guy's going to pay me. I had an employee mindset. This guy will take care of me. I'm doing work for him. I have it hired out. Things are good. I have an employee. I'll be good to go. So now I've got nowhere else to turn. And at this point, I hop on a sales call with a guy. There's a coaching program. He tells me, look, we'll do da-da-da-da-da. Like you'll have a business that's basically built for you. All you'll have to do is run it. You'll do, operational stuff. And like, we're going to hire out all the skills, blah, blah, blah. It sounded so good. I looked into it, checked it out, went through some testimonials of people that had gone through the course. I'm like, man, this seems legit. I've got nowhere else to go. I'm stuck. I just lost $6,500 a month because the same month that he let me go, again, I've got like 25 grand in the bank. I'm working like 20 hours a week, maybe 15, some weeks 10, depending on how the week went. Like things are going awesome. And I go from making that much money, $10,000, basically minus a couple $100, like $9,700, $9,800, to working for myself only, no job. My wife had left her job at this point. Now we're bringing in $6,500 a month. Next month, $6,500 a month. Month after that, boom, here's $3,000. We're done working together. And my other client had quit. So I had one client at $300 a month. So my income went down to $300 a month. Super fired up right there, man. That was exciting stuff. And oh, by the way, I've got a kid coming in just a few weeks. And that's going to cost like $7,400 cash, of which we had paid about half. So I had all this money that I had to shell out to pay the hospital because insurance was basically like useless. Hey, if you get this specific insurance, self-employed, then it was going to be like $400 a month, and they'll cover everything after $10,000. Well, it was less than $10,000 cash if we just did a cash discount. So I'm like, we're not going to pay $400 a month and then not be covered. So all this is going on. I'm looking at, okay, what the heck do I do? I invest into this coaching program, this course, it's $15,000. And I had to spend another like $300 a month in software, and I had to continue paying the gal that I'd hired because I wasn't going to let her go because she was going to be like homeless if I let her go. She was in the Philippines. They were broke. Her husband got in a motorcycle accident. Like they were in bad shape. And I'm like, I made a commitment to her to pay her. She's got kids to feed, just like I've got a wife and soon to be a kid to feed. I'm going to keep her on staff. Her name is V. She's a great gal. I wanted to keep her on staff. So I'm literally making almost nothing, $300 a month. And I'm paying her $100 a week. Okay, so I'm going in the whole $100 a month just on my one employee. Should have let her go, but just I didn't have the heart to do it. So I get this coaching program. So they're like, hey, by the way, you have to buy all these other softwares. It's about $300 a month. Now I have all of this debt because I had paid some of it cash, but I had put a lot of it in like, different loans because I wanted to keep my cash flow in the bank high because I knew I'm just about to have a kid. Like I'm going to have to pay $50 a day in Facebook advertising. So now I spent $15,000. I'm spending $300 more a month in software, which is now about $700 a month in software. I'm paying this employee $100 a week, that's not a whole lot of money, but when you're making $300 a month, it's nothing. And I have to pay $50 a day to Facebook. So I'm going in the hole month after month after month after month after month, and I'm learning, man, self-employed, like you've got to be a person of action. Like I've got to do whatever it takes. Fast forward, I ended up getting some clients. We like almost paid bills this month. We're still pulling money out of the bank, putting some stuff on credit cards. Everything that we had done to get out of debt, I'm like, oh my gosh, like now we're going backwards. So I ended up getting a client, finally close a deal. These guys are playing hardball. Get the client, close the deal. They send us, $3,500. I pay some of that to my fulfillment guy. I keep some of it. We get to the end of the month. It's supposed to rebill again. We had done all the work. That was our setup fee. The first month was going to be charged after we had set everything up and we had ran ads for 30 days. We get to the end of the first month. They do not pay us. I hop on the phone with the guy. Nothing. Hop on the phone again. Emails, nothing. And then he finally picks up the phone. He's like, oh yeah, no, we're not paying that. The leads were low quality, blah, blah, blah. He goes on this whole line of crap, lies to me that all the leads weren't real. When I had some of my guys that were doing fulfillment call those leads and they picked up the phone and one of them closed a deal with another insurance company in the same state. So like we knew the leads were good. I did what I was supposed to do. Someone else didn't keep their word. Again, I've got to learn that I'm 100% responsible for my own life, and that's the only thing that I can be responsible for. It was a tough lesson to learn, but I just shelled out all this money. Now we're in debt. Our savings is beginning to dwindle because we've not made a whole lot of money. Then I get this guy, and I'm counting on, again, if come money, I'm counting on this, and he does not pay me. So now I'm like $2,500 poorer than I thought I was going to be because that was going to be breathing room for us. Boom, he hops on the phone with me. Oh yeah, I couldn't sleep with myself if I paid that. This dude's a millionaire, wasn't going to pay me. This little marketing agency being ran out of my house, doing everything I can to support my family, wasn't going to pay me. We finally settled. I negotiated. He gave me $500. That was gone very quickly to bills and softwares and everything else. And I'm still running ads to get new clients, $50 a day. Finally, I get to a point where I'm picking up some freelance work. I had to shut off ads. I still have my employee. I'm still building my passive income, but again, now I'm super distracted. My entire self-employed business journey was honestly just one big distraction because I should have focused on my passive income, kept working a job, kept my head in the passive income game, gone into my job, worked what I was doing in sales and the wellness clinic and coaching. I should have worked there, given that my best, and then given everything else I had to my business, to my passive income being built up, to getting financially free. But again, that was a costly mistake. I had to learn it the hard way. And here's the thing. When you learn lessons like that, nobody can take that lesson from you. Nobody can take that lesson because it is yours. You bought it. You paid too much for it. You learned the lesson. Now move on and don't ever make that same mistake again. So after that point in the journey where I had gotten to, basically the marketing agency was just not going super well and things were really tight financially, and we had, spent a lot of money in savings, and we still had some business debt. We got to a point where I sat down with I wouldn't say like super close buddy, but he's a good friend of mine. And he kind of asked me like, where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself going? What do you see yourself doing, over the next, I don't know, let's say 5-10 years, like what do you really want out of life? And I had told him, I want to be a coach. I want to be a mentor. I want to be a speaker, and I want to be a consultant. Like this is what I want to do. And those are the things that I really enjoy doing. That's kind of where my giftings are, is teaching, coaching, and just really helping people learn things. And he gets like this huge smile on his face, and he's like, dude, this sounds crazy, but like I've been praying about this. We need a position filled, and you are the only person that I know of that kind of has studied a lot of the same stuff that I've studied, that I really feel like basically I can partially duplicate myself. You have a lot of the same skill sets that I have, and we're going to start you out on this particular seat on the bus, so to speak. So this is the job you'll be starting out doing, but I really think like I'm looking for someone that can more or less like help me run the company, that can be one of the coaches. It's an e-commerce coaching agency, and we sell a course, and here's what we're doing. And just I've been praying about it. I really feel like this might be a good fit, but take some time. Like we didn't even bring up money, and it wasn't like necessarily even about the money, but I'm like, okay, I'm always looking for what's the direction that I'm supposed to go, because at the end of the day, I don't have a map. I don't know where I'm supposed to go next. I don't know what the next step is. Sometimes life just feels like you're in the dark and you're just going in a certain direction. Sometimes you're sprinting in that direction. Sometimes you're jogging. Sometimes you're crawling. Sometimes you're walking. But your goal is to move forward, but you're groping around in the dark because you do not know what is next. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I don't know what the next turn is supposed to be versus what it actually was. So I'm just seeking, okay, maybe is this something we're supposed to do? So my wife and I took it to serious prayer. Him and his wife took it to serious prayer. Like, we wanted to make sure we're both believers. We're both very serious about business. And like, we wanted to make sure this was the right fit. So I end up working with him. He ends up naming a number. He's like, man, my wife and I prayed about it. We have peace. I'm like, my wife and I prayed about it. We have peace. Like, I feel like this is what we're supposed to do. Awesome. We shook hands, and boom, now I'm going from someone who's strictly self-employed to, even though, we weren't crushing it financially, but I'm self-employed. Like, I had that freedom to make my own calendar, and boom, now I'm working 40 hours a week again. Yes, I could work remotely whenever I wanted to. I was kind of like a 50-50. I was there until noon, then I went home. But now I'm back in the job world, and I never thought I'd have a job again. And my identity had changed from someone that has a job to someone that is an entrepreneur, someone that values their freedom, the ability to make their own calendar, the ability, even if I was working more, like, I valued my time. I valued the fact that I could just book a haircut at 1 in the afternoon without having to ask anyone. And now I've got to, and he was very, very, very easy to work for, like, just super awesome guy all around, have no hard feelings at all. But I'm working for him now. So now I've got to, kind of ask someone else, hey, if I want to leave 30 minutes early, like, hey, are you cool if I do this? Are you cool if I kind of, do a flex hour where I get out half an hour early today and I work a half an hour more before the end of the week? Like, and now I'm back on a payroll. I'm getting paid, essentially by the hour, even though it was more of like a salary position. And it was very helpful. The money was great. It was great to have consistent income after all that time of being an entrepreneur and having feast or famine. Some months were great. Some months are awful, draining a savings account, having to put things on a credit card, having to worry about paying employees. Like, so it was nice to have regular income again. But there was literally, I had a conversation with my wife. We're at the breakfast table one day, and I'm getting ready to go, and I had this pit in the feeling, like, in the center of my stomach, like, just, it literally felt like I was violating my own, like, moral code, like my conscience was making me sick. Like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. This isn't you. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, we prayed about this. Like, and I'm very transparent about my faith, but like, I take that very seriously. I want to know God's will for my life, because if you think you're smarter than God, if you think that you can have a better plan for your life than the person, the being the creator of you, like, if my son, who is 16 months old, thinks that he can have a better will for his life than me at this point, like, that's, and that I know a lot more than my son. God knows way more than I do in comparison to me, compared to my son. So I want to know his will for my life, because he's the one that gave me life. So we had prayed about this. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Like, I feel wrong about working a job, not because I'm doing anything wrong. I'm doing good work for this guy, but I feel like something in me something's wrong, and I can't figure out what this is. And I'm walking out the door, even though I'm only working half days. I had spent like every waking moment with my family outside of doing some freelance stuff. And even when I did freelance stuff, I would wake up super early, or I would work super late. Like, I wanted time with my family. When you learn to treat time as gold and money as silver, then you will have the mindset that it takes to truly become free, because money is more, it's something that can be easily created. Like, they print millions or billions of dollars every day. You'll never get more time back. So my time was so valuable to me, having that freedom, having that autonomy to say, this is what I do when. And now I'm back to working a job, and I'm literally feeling sick. And I told my wife, Ashley, I'm like, I don't know what's wrong, but like, something's not right. And I end up working for this guy. His name's Josh. Awesome guy. No hard feelings. And I really, honestly, I miss being around him and some of the guys in that office space, because we had fun working together. And he's just a wealth of information. Very, very, very good at what he does. Literally the size of the marketing agency that I was working for. They had, like, if you know anything about soccer, Messi's marketing manager, like, they make shoes after Messi. Like, he's one of the absolute best soccer players that there's ever been. That's debatable, but he's up there. Like, he's like a Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant of the soccer world, like Major League Soccer, MLS. And the guy that is Messi's manager of marketing stuff reaches out to Josh's agency and asks him, like, hey, I've seen your stuff, blah, 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 I've heard about you, like, can you run our marketing? And the guy is so focused on, man, I want to build an empire in this niche doing this thing. He turns the guy down, like, a deal to work with, like, we're going to run marketing for Messi. And he says no. Like, so just a phenomenal guy. Their agency has really done some awesome stuff. And he's, he's doing very well, very proud of him. And Shout out to Josh. Really enjoyed working with you, man. But anyway, so we sit down, we have this conversation after I've been working with him for maybe just over 2 months, and I was enjoying working with these guys, but just I couldn't put my thumb on like what's wrong. Like, and what was wrong is I'm not a job type anymore. I spent so many years in that world, but after being out on my own for darn near close to a year now, like I really valued my freedom. It shifted a lot of things mentally. Like I just valued being free, to make my own schedule, to work my own hours, to do what I wanted when I wanted, sort of thing, outside of, work that I had to do. So I come to the office one day and he had asked me to get there. He wanted to talk to me. No one else is there. And we had actually joked around about this. Like, this was how they fired people. Like, go out to lunch with the boss. None of the team comes and like he has this serious conversation with you. Like, hey, we appreciate you, but it's not a fit. So we sit down and he has this conversation with me. And basically he tells me like, I need someone that's going to be here long term. And this was actually, it was, I got let go, but he complimented me just hugely as he's doing it. He's like, you have so many talents, so many abilities, like you have so many good skill sets, like you're great at this, you're great at this. Like he's telling me all this potential that I have. And he's like, basically, I feel like no matter how big we ever built this business with you as one of the employees, I feel like you would always have a desire to do your own thing. You're too entrepreneurial to work for me because I need someone that's going to be here long term. I need someone that I can know that I can count on for like the next decade, that I can build a business, around, so to speak. And you're too entrepreneurial. Like you need to go out and do your own thing. No matter how much we paid you, like it doesn't matter if we were paying you hundreds of thousands, like huge money, like $300,000-$400,000. Like you're always going to want to do your own thing. And you're too entrepreneurial, and that's not a bad thing. But you basically, like, you're not an employee. And I thought this could work, and we tried it, but like it just didn't work. And I was like, hey man, I appreciate the honesty, and we hugged, and I appreciated the opportunity, and I gave back my stuff, keyboard, whatever I had borrowed, and like came home, and I'm like, hey, I was let go. And my wife is like, what? And I'm like, yep, I know. So then boom, I'm back to hunting for, like, literally that day, I'm back to hunting for freelance clients, trying to like, how can I make up this income? How can I get back to where, okay, now I'm full-time self-employed again. I had kept trying to get clients and kept running Facebook ads for people while I was working for this guy. But now how can I get to a place where I can make a full-time income? Because, okay, tried that, prayed about it, wasn't where we were supposed to go. Don't know why we did that, but felt like we were supposed to, did it, didn't work out. So boom, get fired. You're too entrepreneurial. You need to go do your own thing. No matter how much we pay you, you'd always have that. Here's what he told me almost word for word. I feel like you have so much drive and so much just ambition to do something. And I thought that could be harnessed. And I thought basically like if we paid you enough and if we worked together enough as a team, like I thought that could be harnessed and directed into our company. But I feel like you almost have too much drive to be harnessed. And I feel like it's always going to be a desire of yours to build something yourself, to be like basically your own boss. Like you have so much drive. It's such a blessing. It's a gift that you have, but you have too much for me to harness into a company. I don't feel like anyone can really employ you anymore. You're unemployable. You're an entrepreneur. You need to go do your own thing. And like, I was grateful for his honesty. And we still text back and forth. Like, hopefully we can grab coffee sometime soon. Josh, if you're listening, I'd like to grab coffee with you. But so that was part of the journey. And so that got me to where I am now. And then so what I ended up, going back to or starting after that, I shift gears. I go back into the marketing agency world. I'm looking for either agencies that I can work for on a freelance, 1099 basis, or I'm looking for someone who's looking for, a team member that I can literally just do 15, 20, maybe 30 hours a week tops on my own schedule, start at 6, be done at 1, that sort of thing, just so I can focus on my passive income business, because I had realized at that point, there's nothing else that I want to do. I'm done being distracted. I'm going all in. And I'm going to leave behind even the desire to build a self-employed business. I want to be free, and that is my utmost only focus. So at this point, I get to the place where I'm over, I got to build my own business. Like I want to have a name established for blah, blah, .com advertising. Like we're going to be this and we're going to be that. We're going to be known in this niche. Like I'm like, forget that. I flushed all of it. Like I am going to work to pay bills, put money in the bank, get us back to a good, solid financial position, better than we've ever been. And I'm going to get us to a place that's better than we've ever been. And I'm going to get free. Like we're going to get to a place where I never have to think about money ever again. We've got money in the bank. We've got some business debt. We've learned some hard lessons, but I'm going to get to a place where I never have to think about money again. Like that guy that was making 70 G's a month working when he wanted to, waking up when he wanted to, going to bed when he wanted to, taking the vacations he wanted to. That is what I want. Nothing less will do. I want the 5% life. I'm done messing around in the 95% world. So where are things at now? Well, at this point, I'm doing some freelancing work for marketing agency stuff. I'm doing some construction sales, which I can make a very, I can make really good commissions on that. Just, like 3 hours, 4 hours of work. And I've made like what most people make in, 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how much you make. And I can do that in 4 hours. I can make, $1,500, $2,000 in a 4-hour deal if I close it. So I'm still in the self-employed world. Everything I do is 1099, still building passive income. But honestly, between the agency work, the construction sales that I'm doing, some of the other work that I'm doing, I'm in a position that I'm more focused than I've ever been on building our passive income revenue stream, and things are going extremely well. We're looking at being financially free by 30. That's money in the bank, no debt, cash flow like we've never had before, and none of this is you guys just heard my story. So none of this is saying, look at where we're going, or look at this, or, I can sell a roof and I can make, $1,500 in 5 hours. Like, none of this is like, hey, look at me. Like, you heard the story, dropped out of college twice, had all those different jobs, quit all those things. Like, this is just where we're at now, but we're in a position where we're on track to be financially free by the time I'm 30, which will be June of next year. And by the time we have both turned 30 and our little guy passes, 2 years old, we'll be in a position where we're free. I will work, 8 to 10 hours a week, and I'll make more money than we made before. We'll get paid to speak. It's just going to be a completely different life. But I learned something along the way in that self-employed journey specifically that I'd like to share. Looking back, that whole journey of leaving that job, of starting a business, I learned some valuable lessons there, but it was honestly just a big distraction. So let me ask you this. Everything that I've covered so far, here's the point of what I've learned up to this point, just with that last part, that journey of being self-employed. Is what you're doing right now, what you're getting into, what you're thinking about doing, is it a distraction from the thing you should be doing? Because if it's a distraction, I don't care if you can make some quick money. I talk to guys all the time. They're like, oh, well, I couldn't pass this up. There was too much money at stake, blah, blah, blah. We can do da-da-da-da-da, and I can make this much money. It's only going to cost me this many hours a week. But if it takes my head out of the game. See, what I did is my passive income that I was building up was distracted by more money up front. I'm like, man, I can make 10 grand a month working 20 hours a week as a self-employed person. And I lost my hunger because I'm making more money than I've ever made, working way less than I've ever had to work. And I'm like, this is my ticket out. I can do 20 hours a week for the rest of my life. But it wasn't what I thought it was. It ended up being a huge distraction. It's the difference between someone who wants to learn how to fly a plane, because let's say that you wanted to get to the other side of the world as fast as possible. That's your dream. You're learning how to fly a plane, and someone on a bicycle starts right in the same exact spot on the runway. That person is just cooking. They're flying down the runway. They're like a half mile ahead, and you're getting all stressed out trying to figure out how to flip switches, and you're taking flight lessons day after day, and you're like, man, I can't figure out how to fly this plane. Like, what's going on? And you're like, maybe I need a bicycle. That guy seems like he's getting ahead of me. And you're in like a fighter jet. Like, once you figure out the fighter jet thing, how fast is that vehicle going to get you to where you want to go? Once you really figured out, once you've done everything that it takes to actually learn how to fly that, are you going to be looking back with regret like, man, I wish I had got a bicycle. I wish, man, that biker, he got so far down the runway before I ever even learned how to fly. I was second guessing myself. That was my self-employed business. That was all the jobs. I'm like, I can make money up front. It looks like I'm getting further ahead immediately, but long term, it was never going to get me to where I wanted to go. The second that I figured out how to fly the plane, which in this case is passive income, the second that I figured out how to truly generate that to where it's full-time, to where I can work 8 to 10, maybe 15 hours tops a week, the second that I learn how to do that, I will pass the biker who's been biking for years. I will fly past that guy because now I'm in a jet. My self-employed business was a bicycle. I was like, I can get further ahead temporarily. It was a distraction. I wanted to learn how to fly a plane. I wanted to get to the other side of the world. I wanted a 5% life, and I was doing things that 95%ers do, thinking it was going to get me there faster. That's not the case. You've got to learn from your lessons. That is my story. I hope you enjoyed it. It is to be continued. I am still on track to be financially free by the time I'm 30, being mentored by some phenomenal phenomenal people, guys that are New York Times like best-selling author. He's one of them. He's worth $100 million. Another guy that I'm getting mentored by is on his way. He's making 50 grand a month right now, on his way to making $100,000 a month very soon. Phenomenal guys that are helping me get to where I want to go, learning from the lessons that they have already gone through so I can avoid their potholes. Those are my potholes. I hope you enjoyed it. That's my story, and I'll keep you posted as it continues to develop. Remember, your journey is your journey. Some days you may be looking like and feeling like a fool along the way, but your journey is your journey, and if you don't quit, it will lead you to somewhere.